There are many theories about who the mysterious Supreme Leader Snoke is, with the theory of him being Darth Plagueis probably being the most popular, and then of course there's some other popular ones like him being Darth Vader, him being Darth Sidious, like possessing Darth Vader's dead corpse, and then there's kind of those crazy theories that no one really takes seriously, like Snoke being Jar Jar, or Boba Fett, or Jabba the Hutt, stuff like that. But I've come up with a theory. Well, I didn't technically come up with it. I did think of it myself, but other people have come up with it before, so it isn't my own theory. But it's a theory that Snoke is Darth Malgus. Now, I'm not saying I necessarily believe this theory, because there are a lot of plot holes if this were to be true. I personally don't know who Snoke is, although I would prefer him to be Darth Plagueis. The people behind Star Wars have said that he's just an original character, but they may be lying about that, trying to make the speculation die down so it can be a huge reveal in episode 8 or 9. I personally think it's going to be revealed in episode 9. But either way, I just wanted to go over this theory and the supporting facts about this theory. So let's start off with how I came up with this theory. I came up with this theory, basically I was thinking about the theory of Snoke being Darth Vader, and the big piece of evidence of Snoke being Darth Vader is that they look really similar. They both have pale white skin, they have a round head, small ears, and most notably they have scars that are in the similar positions. Their scar placement is basically exactly the same. So that's basically what started the whole Snoke is Darth Vader theory, but then I got to thinking, there's a Sith who looks a lot like Darth Vader in my opinion, and that's Darth Malgus from the video game Star Wars The Old Republic, which is of course Legends now. So, Darth Malgus, he looks a lot like Darth Vader without his helmet on. He has very pale white skin, and towards the end of his life, he kind of has veins popping out of his skin. His skin does kind of look a little mangled, and he wears a respiratory system thing because he can't breathe because of like battle injuries. So that with that respiratory system on, he definitely does look a lot like Darth Vader, with that looking like part of Vader's suit. So he looks a lot like Darth Vader, at least at first glance. So I thought, what if it's not Darth Vader who is Snoke, but what if it's Darth Malgus? Now, there is a considerable amount of evidence that supports this. However, there's a lot of things that disproves this theory, so I'm going to go over both of those things in this video. So Darth Malgus lived about 3,700, so that's 3,700 years before the Battle of Yavin, which is almost 4,000 years before, episode 7, 8, and 9, so that's a pretty long time ago. So Darth Malgus would have been kept alive by the Force or the dark side for almost 4,000 years, which is pretty impressive. And he lived during the time of the Sith Empire, so while he was alive, the Sith wasn't the rule of two. There weren't only two Sith like there are in the movies. There were about as many Sith as there were Jedi, and he lived during that time period. And basically what happened was, just like any Sith, he wound up killing a lot of people. He killed a few Jedi Masters, he even killed his own Sith Master, which is kind of the way of the Sith. And basically he stormed the Jedi Temple. It was successful, but then the Sith decided to negotiate with the Republic instead of destroy them, which he disagreed with. Now, I haven't played this game, but I have researched this character a lot, so he disagreed with it, and he left the Sith, he just left the Sith Order. Now, while he was still a Sith, he kept the name Darth, he kept the title Darth, and he did declare himself the new Sith Emperor a little while later. This would kind of fit into the fact that Snoke isn't a Sith. Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker, did fulfill his prophecy in destroying the Sith. So, obviously, Snoke and Kylo Ren definitely isn't a Sith, but Snoke probably isn't a Sith, unless they're gonna go into some, more complicated stuff with maybe Anakin not being the chosen one. I really hope they don't do that, because I do want Anakin to stay the chosen one. But, even though Darth Malgus technically was still a Sith, he did leave the Sith Empire. So, that might be considered him not being a Sith. Maybe he, after the events of the game, he dropped the Darth title and he just became Malgus. Now, moving on, Darth Malgus, after he left the Sith Empire, he explored the unknown regions, which is a huge part of this theory, because in the canon book Star Wars Aftermath, the remnants of the Empire, after the second Death Star is destroyed and Darth Vader and Darth Sidious are both killed, the people who remain in the Empire, they kind of fled, and they went to explore the unknown regions. So what might have happened is Darth Malgus, he might have been in those unknown regions, and the people who remained in the Empire went out in hiding. They found Darth Malgus. He kind of replaced Sidious as their new leader, and they became the First Order. Now, Darth Malgus did eventually return from the unknown regions to declare himself, the Sith Emperor, the new Sith Emperor, but he was then killed. Now, he could have faked his death. It could have been a clone that they killed. He could have just faked his death. They could go into all kinds of complicated stuff. But either way, he could have faked his death, and while this is unlikely, he could have then went into hiding and traveled in the unknown regions, where he would stay for almost 4,000 years studying the dark side, and then he would eventually be found by the First Order, where he'd seize opportunity for power again, and he could again try to be the new emperor, just like he did almost 4,000 years ago. Now, how could he stay alive that long? Well, it could be something similar to Darth Plagueis. Darth Plagueis was said to be the only one who discovered how to cheat death. But this could be false. He could have been one of two that discovered how to fake death. Darth Malgus could have discovered how to cheat death long before Plagueis did, but Plagueis and Sidious weren't aware that Malgus was still alive, so they believed that Plagueis was the only one who figured out how to do it. So, Malgus would have used the Force and the dark side to cheat death and stay alive for many, many years. So that's basically the basis of the theory. A few things that support this is that in the novelization of Star Wars The Force Awakens, Snoke kind of mentions that he has had previous students, and Darth Malgus had at least 2 apprentices in the game. And then, of course, there's also the fact that they look very similar. They both have round heads with, pearly white skin. And both, Snoke and Malgus, towards the end of his life, kind of have battle injuries. And I think Snoke does look a bit more beaten down and, worn, with more battle injuries than Malgus. But, of course, 4,000 years of hiding, maybe he would have ran into, people or dark side users that would have caused him those battle injuries. So, I don't know how possible this is, because some things that might disprove this theory or prove this theory wrong is that it is highly unlikely that he survived, that he actually faked his death, although we have seen Star Wars characters kind of return from the dead before, with Darth Maul, characters like that. But I think the biggest theory that disproves this, or the biggest fact that disproves this, is that Darth Malgus is from a video game that is Legends material. I highly doubt that they'll have Snoke's origins in a Legends material, much less a video game. So those are basically the things that disprove this, and I don't know if I necessarily believe this, but it would be very cool, and I thought it was a very interesting theory to talk about. So yeah, hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment if you want. There'll be more content coming up soon, and I will see you all next time.